of the rehab center, we see all sorts of different animals that we have to treat to help with quality of life and be able to help them with acupuncture. So as we start with the longitudinal muscle system, what I want to talk about is there's only 3 really important things that you have to know. There's the local points, and we all do local points. You know, you're always looking at local points. So you have a stifle, a sore stifle, you're going to, you know, do the points around the stifle. But we've also got to start thinking about, and I think this is the common sense part, you got to look below it and you got to look above it. We've got to look at what is really going on here. So even when you have a bad joint, it's not just that joint. Everything is affected. So you have a bad stifle, the hock is affected, the foot is affected, the hip is affected, the middle of the back is affected, everything is affected as it goes up. So we have to look at this whole thing and how this one injury or whatever we have, the bad hips, has affected the entire body. It's interesting because in my thing of fascia, what I'm finding is that, you know, you think that the muscle just then becomes a tendon. No, the fascia runs through the entire sheet of the muscle, and then it just combines, and then it becomes more like a tendon and have more fascia as then you get less and less muscle cells. And then it spins together and becomes a tendon and attaches to the bone. So this is that area that is very receptive and has quite a few acupuncture points. So this is the areas that you really want to look at, palpate, and think about using your acupuncture needles or your laser in a very precise way, because this is the whole idea of the longitudinal muscle system. These are the muscles that go with the channel, and we'll talk about them. And then here with the little points is where the meridian runs. So that's how I've got this whole presentation. So when you go back, you'll see that. So here we go with the triple heater. We don't think much of the triple heater, actually, when it comes to doing things. I think it's one of those, the Sanjiao. We kind of forget about how important the triple heater is. Next time you have something with ileus, or things aren't moving well, or things are going the wrong direction, everything, think about the triple heater also for your fluid balance within the body. But I find it also very important when I'm looking at the forequarter of the dog, and the fact that the green, see the green here, goes with the green here. So we're going to have an anatomy lesson. I think this is good for all of us acupuncturists. So the supraspinatus is here, the triceps is here, the anconeus, however you like to say it, is here, lateral digital extensor, and the ulnaris lateralis. So here we go. The supraspinatus, what does it do? It starts, the origin is up in the fossa, and it comes down here on the tubercle of the humerus. It extends the shoulder and is part of the human rotator cuff, which we will talk about later on when we talk about a little bit more of these shoulder muscles, because I think it will help cement some stuff about our shoulders compared to their shoulders. If you take out your clavicle and you bring your shoulder down close to the side of your body and you start to rotate your shoulder, this is how the dogs and the cats and the horses, all the quadrupeds, use their shoulder. They don't have the ability to have a lot of that rotation that the rotator cuff really works on for human. The rotator cuff is a human thing. Dogs generally do not have that because they don't really need it. But the supraspinatus is interesting too, because if you start to have an animal that's got problems with their shoulder, you really, unless it's a thin dog or a greyhound, I'll give you that, should not be able to palpate this spine of the scapula. It should be pretty well covered up with a little bit of a nice layer of fat and muscle, but the supraspinatus is in front. We'll talk about the infra, which is back here. So the supraspinatus is right here. It sits here. I don't see a lot of problems in the supra unless I've got an entire problem with my entire shoulder. I think depending on different parts of the country, when we start to talk about sled dogs and you start to talk about pulling and things like this, that you're going to see a lot more problems right in here, and you're going to see a lot more problems with the supraspinatus, and also we'll talk about the biceps. So the supraspinatus is here, and it goes with the triple heater channel.